Hi, my name is Suzan and I'm here talking about emotions today. So the emotional body is what is most important when you want to build your own sense of intuition. Everyone has intuition because everyone has an emotional body. You have to understand how your emotions work, and you have to work with your emotions in order to create a balanced state of intuition and be able to use your intuition. So, for this video, what I want to talk about specifically is the duality of certain emotional states and how we can best utilize these emotional states in order to um, become more conscious. So, what is consciousness? Consciousness is awareness. And how we become aware is by where we're focusing our attention on. So, we have complete control over our consciousness. Realizing that is the first step in order to get the control, and that's part of your self-mastery. The best thing that you can do to improve your intuition is actually start to understand your emotions and where they're coming from and what they're actually doing. Emotions are energy in motion. That's really what they are. So you're working with these energies, these subtle energies, and if you understand these subtle energies, you'll be able to understand how intuition works. In order to hone in and tune into your intuition, you have to go into your heart space. So your attention, instead of your attention being everywhere simultaneously, you have to bring your attention and focus your attention into your heart space, because that is where your intuition lies. That's where your soul lives, your heart center. So in order for me to explain the concept of your emotional state when you're triggered, I'm going to use a coin. So heads and tails. It's a neutral coin. We need coins in order to purchase what we want to purchase. So it is neutral and it's whole, in its wholeness. But then sometimes when we want to make a decision, some of us like to flip a coin. And then we say, well, this will mean something, and then this will mean something. This will mean yes or positive. This will mean no or negative. This, for the purposes of this video, will mean touched. So when someone touches you and you feel that pleasant emotional state, that feeling state that feels good, warm, that can be brought in by like getting a gold star in your paper when you're in school, something like that, or someone saying job well done, or someone saying, you know, you really showed empathy when you called me up when I wasn't doing so well. All of these things, they touch us. So the person who wasn't feeling so well was touched by the person who made the call and showed some empathy. And the person who showed the empathy was touched because she was or he was able to touch this other person in need. So that's what that will represent, and this will represent a trigger. So when you hear trigger, you probably will feel a sense of something's not right. Something doesn't feel right when you're triggered, right? The reason why that is because when you're triggered by someone or by someone's remark, they are touching you. They are touching you in a wounded place within your psyche. This is a gift. That's the main point of this video. Triggers are beautiful gifts because they will show us where we need to go into and perhaps heal that aspect that is wounded within us. So it kind of feels like if you have an open wound, someone pours some salt and touches that wound, and that's painful. But it is in that pain that you can grow, you can evolve, and you can expand your ability to control your emotional state. The emotional state is just a feeling state that passes through your body and wants to be expressed out. What happens in our society, in our earth plane, right? We a lot of times suppress and repress our feelings, our unpleasant feelings, if you will. But that is not very healthy, and that will just create an imbalance within your system, within your body, within your emotional body. And then that will create an imbalance within your physical system. That's what disease is about. Disease, dis-ease. There's something that's not well within the system, right? There is a need for harmony within the system. Because if everything is in ease, there's no disease. So everything happens energetically in order to be expressed in the physical form. Leave whatever doesn't resonate at the door and take what can help you with these transmissions. Okay, so when you're triggered, what happens is the reptilian side of the brain is sparked. And the area called the amygdala within the brain, within that brain area, that is very instinctual, gets sparked. And this can create the feeling of perhaps fear or anger, anything that's not being felt positively. That's what it will represent. What you want to do, instead of reacting from that triggered space, that triggered state of consciousness, what you want to do is stop what you're doing, step back, or just stop and take a breath, recenter, go into your heart space, and then respond from that place, from your heart. Because what happens is when we're triggered, we automatically go into the reptilian side of the brain and we want to act from a place of fear or anger. It's more of a survival mechanism. This is how we have survived all these years. It is helpful to have this, and we can't get rid of it. So all we can do is learn about it and learn how to work with it. So what you can do is you stop when you're triggered, you take a breath, you recenter yourself, and then you're able to respond from that place of a balanced state. This would seem more conscious like. This would seem more like unconscious, okay? So what you want to do is you want to practice this whenever you're triggered and see the beauty within the trigger itself. So after you respond from a centered, balanced state, then you can actually reflect on what's happening. And if you need more time in order to respond, because what we want to do is respond, not react. That's what this is. Reaction just comes from that reptilian side of the brain, and it might actually cause more problems than what it solves, because when you fight and someone else fights with you, there's just nowhere to go from there. It's a go nowhere situation. So what you want to do is take control of the situation by removing yourself from that emotional state and understanding what it is that situation is trying to teach you, because that's what everything is. Everything is trying to teach us a lesson. And then you can figure out what within you is feeling wounded, and then you can heal that part. You can heal that part by breathing. Breath work is very, very helpful and very healing in itself. You can also do some journaling in order to figure out what it is that is bothering you. Some people write better than just do things more cognitively, because it's a flow. What you want to do is you want to create that void. You want to create that gap between the action and the reaction, so that you can actually take control over yourself, and then are able to respond in a manner that is more appropriate and responsible. Responsibility is the ability to respond, right? That's what we want to do in order to work our senses, and in order to really learn how emotions work within our bodies. And that will always help us in developing our intuition. And this is all about self-mastery. The only one that you can master is yourself. You can never change anyone outside of you. The way you want to approach that is by going within, changing yourself, and that will create a change around your surroundings. Other people will always have to match your energetic field. So I just want you to ask yourself, am I coming at this from a centered space, or am I ungrounded and reactive? If you are reactive, in order for you to ask these questions, you have to take a moment and you have to take a pause from whatever happened that triggered you, right? So that's the first step. The second step is to breathe and to ask these questions, and then you're more able to respond in a balanced way. The brain has neuroplasticity. What that means is that the brain can actually change. The brain is like a computer system, and it's running through programs. And the programs are learned throughout your lifespan, right? So you're learning them from family members, from your environment, from school, from society, all that stuff. You are running through programs, and they're more like automatic programs. And what you want to do is understand these programs and see if you actually resonate with these programs that are built into your brain, or if you want to change them. And if you want to change them, you can. The brain is malleable. It's more like plastic, right? You can bend it. And what happens is you become more aware of your actions and reactions and response systems, and the brain grows in that way. And you are actually building new programs within your brain. The more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. The better it gets, the better it gets. It's very true. So the brain can be rewired. The brain can be reprogrammed. I used to work for this autism treatment center, where the main thing that we did was we ran programs. What it's called is ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis. That's the main purpose of these programs that are used to treat children with autism. I personally don't believe there's anything wrong with them, right? So there was an incongruency between my belief system and what I know to be true, and what I was being asked to do in order to complete my job. So that's why I had to take a step back, because that was just not feeling right for me. I didn't believe that these children really needed to be programmed to fit into our society. But that is my belief system, and you don't have to agree with that. That is fine. what I believe about autism is that they're actually very sensitive, and our body is an antenna, a huge, giant antenna. That's why we have all these senses. And we're perceiving reality, our environment, through these senses. That's all the body is. It is just a way to perceive our reality. Our consciousness is what actually can create our reality. So knowing that is really helpful. And knowing that you can control your consciousness is so much more helpful than thinking that things are happening to you and that you have no control over anything. You have complete power. You have complete control over your reality and over your expression of your reality. You know, the only thing that separates you and me, or us and them, is the lens through which we are perceiving our experience. That's it, because in reality, we are one. When you come from that space of consciousness, and you know, we're human, right? This is ongoing. We're just learning as we go, right? So when you are identifying this and you are working from that space and you are coming from that space, you are more able to understand that when people are triggering you, they might not even mean to trigger you. That's the truth. So it's more about what you can get from that experience. And you can perceive that experience as something to harm you and something that you have to fight for or fight against. Or you can perceive that experience as a beautiful gift that the world is giving you, that the universe is giving you, that God is giving you. You have created that scenario in order to learn. That's the biggest lesson right now. So when you are triggered, please stop, take a breath, and then respond. And see how that in itself, it's quite simple, but you can see how that in itself, the more you do it and the more you practice it, will change your reality. Thank you so much for joining me in this transmission. I hope you get a lot out of that. And if you have any comments or questions, please post them below because I love interacting with you. Okay, thanks. All my love to you. Bye.